brand new to the store is the father and son Dragon Ball Super design, right now shipping all over the world. Whether you're a Goku fan or a Gohan fan, or a fan of both like me, you've got to add this to your collection. We have shirts, we have hoodies, we have hats, we have prints, all available in the store right now. I'll leave a link down below, but hurry, it'll only be for a limited time. Don't wait. I think it's time that Dragon Ball rebuilds Goten and Trunks and makes them the heroes that we all thought they could be. And no, I'm not talking about doing like a high school arc and a slice of life story about them dressing up like superheroes. And I'm not talking about being side characters and assisting Gohan and Piccolo against Cell Max, or even them fusing to make Gotenks for comedic purposes, because that's pretty much all Gotenks has really become, is comedy. No, I'm talking about actually focusing on Goten and Trunks as the future of the series and as possible characters to take over along with Gohan in the future. Obviously, Dragon Ball without Goku is something that doesn't even seem like it could even make sense, because he is the main character, he is the centerpiece of the series, and even in Dragon Ball Z, when they wrote him out of the story multiple times, whether it be due to a heart virus or he died or whatever, they always brought him back because the story is about Goku. From boy to grandpa, it's the life of Goku. That's Dragon Ball. But that doesn't mean that Goten and Trunks can't have more of a place in the lead. In fact, if we go back to the introduction of Goten and Trunks, we know that Akira Toriyama, the series creator, when he was writing the manga back in the early 90s, he knew that he would be shifting gears after the Cell Saga into a more Gohan-focused story, but Gohan couldn't be the only one. Toriyama, of course, went back to the formula that worked and that always worked for Shonen, and that is introducing a new child protagonist. This is what Dragon Ball has always done, starting with Goku as a kid in the original series. Then when we get to the Z portion, they introduced Gohan as the kid, with Goku being the adult, and then in the Buu arc, we have Goten and Trunks. This would even continue on into Dragon Ball GT, where they made Goku a kid again. So it's just an ongoing shonen thing that Japan loves to do. But the kids can still be important. I don't feel that Goten and Trunks are anywhere near as important as Gohan was positioned earlier in Dragon Ball Z. If you look at the Saiyan Saga, the Frieza Saga, and of course the Cell Saga, all those episodes, Dragon Ball Z episode 1 to 199, Gohan is always given something important to do. And it feels like Goten and Trunks really aren't as much anymore. If we rewind back to when Toriyama was writing the manga and the Buu arc specifically, you could tell that even though Goku and Vegeta did have their role in the story was going to shift over to it being primarily focused on Gohan, Goten, and Trunks. We know this because during the time after Majin Vegeta's sacrifice, when Goku has a little bit of time left on Earth, he teaches Goten and Trunks the fusion pose, and there's all kinds of discussion about the potential of Goten and Trunks. Let's not forget that Goten and Trunks made history because they are the youngest to have ever unlocked the Super Saiyan transformation. That's right, Trunks and Goten got Super Saiyan younger than Gohan getting it by a few years in the previous arc, and thus that tells us they have potential. Let's not forget the Toriyama S-Cell story that he told us a few years ago. If you want more information on that, you gotta check out the Super Saiyan transformation explained from the Transformation Guide video, because I have compiled for you years of research on the Super Saiyan transformation with every bit of information that you need about it in that video, so check that out. But in the meantime, go ahead and push that like button right now, and let's keep going with the video. Don't forget to push it because it really does help out the channel, and I appreciate you guys very much. So what I was talking about with Goten and Trunks is Toriyama was clearly focusing on Goten and Trunks being secondary main characters to Gohan. Gohan was training with the Supreme Kai and the Z Sword. Later Gohan would be joined by Goku, and then is when we found out about the old Kaioshin, which led to the upgrade that Gohan got, unlocking the mystical ultimate Gohan form, where his power, his potential power had sort of been extracted. That's what Ultimate Gohan is. Meanwhile, Goten and Trunks are training with Piccolo to learn the fusion pose, and they finally are able to do it properly after failing a couple times. They do it properly, and then we have true Gotenks. Gotenks and Super Buu is a fight from Dragon Ball Z that I hated it when I was a kid, man. When I first saw this, I just wanted them to get on to the next thing because I thought it was too goofy. But the older I get, the more I appreciate it because it makes sense. Goten and Trunks were 7 and 8 years old, so Gotenks going to have a very immature mentality. And he's going to go in there and goof around, and the fight's very goofy and played up for laughs, which is Toriyama going back to his roots. But it makes sense because they're a couple of kids. They're a couple of kids, right? That's why later when we see Vegito is messing around with Buu to get absorbed, but he's not playing those kid games. In fact, there's a line where Vegito straight up refers to Gotenks' Super Ghost Kamikaze attack as a kid's technique. So he kind of buried Gotenks there, but what can you do? Either way, at that time, I understand Toriyama's hesitation and trepidation with going completely with a victory from Gotenks or even Gohan. He went back to Goku. We've talked about that numerous times. Despite all the fake internet BS, he was never pressured to do it. He just felt that Goku was a better main character to write for, so Goku took the lead once more. Now, that's fine. It is what it is. However, you can make excuses, but since then, Gotenks has been played up for laughs no matter what. In Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, they fused to make Gotenks, and he got spanked, literally spanked out of fusion by Beerus. They didn't do anything in Resurrection F the movie, and in the arc, I hated the arc. The arc was terrible, but at least they were actually there. Whereas in the movie version, they weren't even, Toriyama didn't even think enough of them to write them into the battle with the Frieza soldiers. That's crazy. Ten Shinhan and Master Roshi are there, but not Goten and Trunks. Isn't that weird? One Super Ghost Kamikaze attack would have taken out the majority, almost all of Frieza's men. Just like how they took out the Nazis in the Fusion Reborn movie, right? Crazy. So we move on, and Goten and Trunks are often just forgotten about. Again, they had nothing at all in the Universe 6 arc, nothing to do in the Trunks arc except for some weird interactions with future Trunks and present Trunks. And then in the Tournament of Power, they were watching Android 17's island and taking care of it. They have been purposely left out of the story for way too long. Then along came Dragon Ball Superhero, and guess what? They're grown up, they're back in. In the movie version, they can't even do Super Saiyan, or they forgot how to, or they just don't want to. And then when they try to fuse, they fuck it up. So it's one of those things where, at this point, can we finally rebuild Goten and Trunks? Has the time come now, since they're on Beerus' planet, sparring with Gohan, is now not the best time to get them serious again? I think Dragon Ball would be more interesting if there was a power-up or something to make Gotenks special, and to make him either defeat one of the top villains, maybe not a final villain, but help defeat one of the top villains, or do something tangible to make them a threat, maybe even include them in another tournament later on. There has to be something they can do to bring them back into the forefront, and I think the time is now. What do you think? Let me know. Take care.